forward to hearing about his experience flying, when flying was really flying, right, with the L-19s, right? So I don't know if you're aware, but in the front of our national headquarters, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, which is Maxwell Air Force Base.
Yes, sir.
On a pylon
Yeah.
is an L-19.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So you can tell us about it.
That's wonderful.
What it was. Okay. So would you give us a little background and
Okay.
introduce
Well, a number of months ago, I think before the end of the last year, it dawned on me that it would be kind of neat if we could start having some public speakers come from various backgrounds in aviation. And so I started a quest of reaching out to some of my friends and trying to find some people that had aviation experience. Didn't make any difference whether they were military or commercial or air traffic controllers, as long as they had some interest in aviation. A good friend of mine and goes to my church, Doug Jewell, was a naval aviator, and he's a member here of the Winston-Salem Aviation Association. Introduced me to Bernie, and I thought it was just a great opportunity to kick off this program. We plan to have a speaker come in quarterly to relate their experiences and tell us a little bit about their background in aviation. Bernie was, as I think you all got my emails, was in Vietnam as a pilot flying forward air control.
Forward air.
Yeah. And so I'm going to turn it over to Bernie and his publisher, Jim. They have published this book, and it's about to be on the newsstands.
We hope.
The book stands, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not available yet, so when it does become available, I'll be sure and let you know. So Bernie,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I am honored to be here. I am very impressed with you folks, and I'm just absolutely thrilled to be back in this environment. It kind of takes me back to when I was a young guy. This is good. Anyway, I'm excited to be here, and I certainly hope that what I have to talk about will be of interest to you. Your mission and my mission, the mission I had, is essentially the same thing. You fly airplanes, and your mission is to assist those people on the ground who are in distress. That's what I did. I was as a forward air controller. My mission was to put together close air support to aid the ground soldiers who were in a firefight. And it was very rewarding, and I know that it is for you folks. Your pilots are outstanding pilots, so are ours. Your navigators are outstanding. Your radio guys never miss a call. Ours didn't either. And it was such a team effort that it's good that you youngsters are being exposed to the camaraderie, the importance of teamwork, and the bond that you will create among each other is absolutely incredible. Last week, I went to San Antonio for 4 or 5 days. This is perfect time to tell this story. It was a flight school reunion. Our class at Reese Air Force Base in Texas graduated in 43 years ago. I'd seen 2 guys in my class. 38 guys showed up at the reunion. And in 5 minutes after getting together, we were just as goofy as we were when we were student pilots at Reese. We bonded that quick. It was like we'd been together every week for forever. It's just such a special, magic feeling that takes place between people in the military. Right, Colonel?
Right.
So, we're going to talk about, right now we're going to talk about flight school a little bit. I'm going to take you through flight school, and then we'll go to Vietnam. This is the first airplane that I flew when I went to flight school. Everybody knows what this airplane is. Great airplane. I was an ROTC cadet at the University of Montana, and when I qualified to go to flight school as a senior, I was able to go to the local airport, get some flying lessons, and I ended up getting my private pilot's license. The guys who got their commission with officer candidate school, they didn't have that opportunity. So the Air Force bought this airplane for us to fly for 1 month. We got about 45 hours in it. And the guys that had never flown before got a chance to learn the basics of flying, get some stick time. And at the end of that program, the playing ground was supposed to be level, which it really was. We started with 71 students, and 21% washed out during this program. The reasons were fear of flying, air sickness, and ineptitude. We didn't lose any more students after that program. So this was really a twofold project that the Air Force had. They wanted to let the other guys get caught up to where I was as a ROTC guy, and to weed out some guys before they were maybe advanced to the advanced programs. Yes, sir?
That airplane is what, the T-41, right?
T-41, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And does everybody know what the T-41 is? That's Cessna 172.
Yeah.
The Air Force called it T-41.
Yeah.
Right.
T for trainer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have. That won't be the first thing I'll forget, Colonel. All right. Now this is the next airplane that we flew. This is a T-37. Commonly known as the 3,000-pound dog whistle, due to the high shrill sound of its twin-engine jets. It just was a screamer.
Sir, did you train at Randolph?
No, Reese Air Force
It
Base
was all Reese,
in
okay.
Lubbock, Texas.
Okay.
When I was flying this airplane, Jim was going to school at Texas Tech. So it's a small world, isn't it? Yeah. This airplane. This airplane introduced us to high performance. We wore a helmet, we wore a parachute, we sucked oxygen out of a hose, we raised and lowered the gear, sometimes on time. And we became acquainted with the high speed. This airplane flew at 390 knots. Service ceiling was 25,000 feet. And after flying in a 150, it was a pretty big deal airplane, great airplane to fly. We flew this for 4 months. And the focus of this program was to teach us instruments, serious instruments in this program. We flew a little formation, but just enough. This was not we didn't do this until later in the program, and we didn't do it often. Then we went on to the White Rocket, the T-38, made by Northrop Corporation, the T-38 Talon. And we flew it for 6 months. This airplane was capable, it still is, it's still flying. I was at Randolph last week, and they put camouflage on it. And we were so envious because it's so sexy with that new paint job. But it sounds the same, it looks the same, just got a new paint job. So this thing could fly at Mach 1.08, service ceiling of 50,000 feet. At one time, this airplane owned the climbing rate. Yeah, that's it. This airplane set the record at 33,600 feet in 1 minute. Yeah. That was a long time ago. It's been erased since then. But that's the kind of performance this airplane had. The first 25 hours we were in this bird, we did nothing but instruments. The student would sit in the back. The instructor would sit in the front. We had a canvas bag. Those of you who've flown in instruments, you know what going under the hood. That would be shut. We'd shut it on when we take the active runway. We took off blind, and we would fly to other Air Force bases, municipal airports. We'd fly for an hour, hour and a half, and we didn't take the bag down until we landed back at Reese. The best thing that happened during those rides was when, in the back seat, my instructor, Captain Cathy, I could hear him. We'd do nonstop approaches, and when he said, "Hale, shake the stick," I got it, and take it easy. But at that point, my flight suit was drenched. It happened every time. It was hard work. It was a lot of work. But boy, did we become good instruments pilots. 25 hours in that bag. Then we soloed. And that's when we started to have fun. Can I back up and tell you a story I forgot? I told you it wasn't going to be the first thing I forgot. Our first ride in this airplane was called the Dollar Ride. Dollar Ride was a freebie. The instructors loved it because they got to fly the airplane. We just got to ride in it. But it was an introduction to the performance of this beauty. So I walked down to the parachute shop with Major Thomas. He was going to take me for my Dollar Ride. Walked in, got a parachute, put on a G-suit for the first time. G-suit's a bladder that inflates with a certain amount of G-forces, tightens the lower body so that the blood doesn't flow away from the head. And it doesn't prevent blacking out, because I blacked out plenty of times with the G-suit on, but it helped. It helped. So now I got this G-suit on, and I'm walking out to the ramp where all the T-38s are. And I've got my parachute over my back, my helmet, and I'm thinking, boy, Hale, you're a real pilot. Well, I thought I was. The Dollar Ride was fabulous. Colonel Major Thomas, we go out, I get on the ladder, I get in the back seat of the airplane. He's going to get in the front. He climbs up the ladder, he straps my intercom connection, my G-suit, he hooks that up, gets me all set. Radio's working. He patted me on the helmet. He said, "Hale, just relax. You're going to love this ride. You're going to have a lot of fun. Tomorrow you got to go to work, so enjoy today. And don't touch anything." So we took off and we flew for an hour. We got up to about 10,000 feet. We did an oxygen check. We had to make sure our oxygen was working before we went above 10 grand, which it was. And then he said, "Okay, here we go." He's off. I'm not touching anything. I got my hands right in my lap. He said, "Okay, Hale, shake the stick." We said shake the stick when the control of the airplane was changing from one pilot to another. "Major, shake the stick, you got it." So we knew exactly who was flying the airplane. So I shake the stick. He said, "Okay, I want you to advance the throttle. I want you to go into afterburner." So I advance the throttle slowly. Over the hump, the afterburner lights. Gets quiet, smooth, beautiful. I'm watching the Mach meter. 0.8 Mach, 0.9 Mach, 1.0 Mach, and I'm flying supersonic. So then I knew I was a pilot. That was the Dollar Ride. The next day when I went to work, it was a different story. It wasn't a whole lot of fun, but it was an exciting airplane. There's model on the drawing board to replace this. And it's just, I can't imagine that they could have a better trainer than the T-38. Fabulous airplane. The Thunderbirds flew this airplane in the 70s when the gas got tight and all that stuff. The Thunderbirds flew it. They loved it. Okay, that was then after the T-38, we graduated. We got our wings. Whew, boy, we were really proud pilots. And the assignments were made based on performance. The #1 guy in his class got his choice. The categories were fighters, forward air control planes, student instructors. There were guys who were going to stay as instructors, T-37s and T-38s, and the cargo planes, the 130s, the 123s, the 141s. So the first guy got his choice. He took a fighter. Next guy took a fighter. Next guy took a fighter. Most of us wanted to be fighter pilots. When my name came up on the class standings, I got a forward air control job. I got that, which was my second choice, because I chose my second choice was forward air control, because the FACs, when they finished with their assignment in Vietnam, they all got fighter assignments, because we'd flown with all the fighters, the F-100 guys, the F-4 guys, A-1E guys. We knew the mission, and we knew how it worked, and we were part of the tactical team. So I thought, well, after Vietnam, I'll get a fighter. So I knew I wasn't going to get in the top of the class. So that's how I got this assignment, and I fell in love with this little airplane. I went from the T-38 to that. And it wasn't long until I fell in love with this airplane. You can tell that for a combat airplane, visibility is everything. You can see how much visibility there is. You can see 360 degrees. The vertical stabilizer is not a big deal. You can see behind it, in front of it, around it. We carried 4 white phosphorus rockets right here. We call them Willie Pete's. That's what we marked the targets with. We would fire off the rail. When they exploded on the ground, they made a brilliant white cloud that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. And that's what we controlled the airstrikes with. 4 under each wing. This airplane weighed 2,300 pounds. The Air Force manual said it flew at top speed of 155 knots. The guy who took that rating was in a dive. 115 was more like it. And but that was okay. Slow was good for what we did. The O-1E. Oh, the name of the plane. This you may have noticed this.
Crispy critter.
Most of the airplanes were named something. This is a reference to napalm, a terrible weapon. But that airplane was named after napalm. It was war, kids. It wasn't. Nothing was easy, and this was just something that military humor is pretty clever, and I don't know that it's clever, but it's real, and it's just part of the deal. Tough deal, but it's tight. Okay, now this was a third FAC airplane. The second one, I'm sorry. The Air Force thought they needed a safer airplane for us FACs. So they built one. This had Cessna built one. This is a push-pull, 2 props, dual boom. They carried more. They carried 17 rockets instead of 7. See the visibility here? This guy's looking out over the windscreen. He can't see outside unless he leans up. The visibility was terrible. They filled the airplane up with instruments, which is good. That's good. We couldn't fly at night. And when we got in the weather, the only thing we had was an ADF. And that's not very good if you're in the weather and you're flying in the mountains. But, so the instruments was good. That was a good thing to do for the pilots. The airplane was, it was heavy. The Air Force put a lot of stuff in. They didn't need all those rockets. That was a lot of weight. That made the airplanes kind of sluggish, slow. It couldn't turn like the O-1. Whew. We weren't going fast, but we could turn quick. And we could see, and our airplane was a better platform for the mission than this thing. Anybody notice this?
Is that the flying pig?
Well, it's a pig, yeah. I was stationed at Phuket Air Base, and we were the first. This was the first O2 to come to Phuket, and that was when they were going to start replacing us with this guy. We were pretty upset about the whole deal. We knew we had the better airplane for the job. And these guys were coming in with this big, fat, ugly, slow, can't see out of an airplane. We kind of resented that. Now, it's a great airplane if you're going from point A to B. If you're putting in an airstrike, it's not a great it's not a great platform. So John Murphy flew it. He was in my class. The wing commander made a big deal out of it. Everybody that wasn't flying, I want you at the flight line to welcome the new airplane. Whoa, big deal. But he made it a big deal. If he could have found a brass band, there would have been one there. So Murphy shows up in this thing. He gets out of the airplane. I say, "Hey, Murph." He said, "Lizard, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I live here." That was my nickname. So we treated Murph well. We bought him beer, drank beer with him. And at that night, two of our guys went over. One guy made a stencil out of cardboard. And two guys went down the flight line that night, and we painted a red pig on his airplane, known as Sky Pig. Now this was 6 months later, and the pig's still on there. Whoever owns that plane today's got the red pig on there. And he's thinking, "Where'd this come from?" You guys wouldn't do anything like that, would you? Huh?
We have a story for you later, sir.
So that's the Sky Pig. All right, the last airplane that the Fax flew was this, the OV-10 Bronco. This is a hot rod. Look at this visibility. If visibility wasn't important for a FAT, why'd they make it like that? Pilot sat in the front, and observer sat in the back. Not a pilot, he was an observer. Twin boom. They carried a minigun. Very fast, 390 knots. This airplane went to the DMZ area, the militarized zone, and border at Laos and Cambodia. That's where the big guns were. Yes, sir?
Did that plane have ejection seats also?
Yes,
Yeah.
they did. So an O-1 wouldn't have lasted very long where these guys were. They had radar guns, and it was very dangerous to fly in that area. But this was a great airplane. Two of them were in my class. We had two in my class. Both guys came back safe and sound. I might point out that 57 of us graduated from flight school, and we lost 3. So that's sad, and it was terrible, but it was a pretty good ratio. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about the mission, the role of a full. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question about the twin boom plane?
Yeah.
On the previous slide? I've never seen one of those. You see a lot of old warbirds and some of what you call the O2. I can't remember Cessna's number for it, but I've never seen one of these. Why are they not still around?
I don't know that many were made. I really don't. I can't. I'm sure that some people bought them when they put them on the shelf, but I don't really know the dynamics of the airplane either. I can't explain to you why the boom, the twin boom.
How many did you see in action?
These?
Yeah.
None. I was in the Central Highlands, a more serene area, if you will. Although there really wasn't a. Yes, sir.
Much of that piece on?
Why would they put the observer in the back and not the pilot?
The pilot wanted to be up front so he could see better. The guy in the back could see really good outside both windows, you see. He could swivel around out here, but this seat right here is very small, very tight. And if the pilot was be in the back seat, he would have trouble seeing out the front. Okay.
The Bronco was just a military designed airplane. The 01 and 02 were both civilian
Yes,
planes too.
yes.
Skymaster and,
Yeah. I don't think that was just a military plane, wasn't it?
yeah,
The OV-10. Yeah. Great airplane.
yeah,
Yeah. Wish I could have flown it. Not where they flew it, but.
yeah, right.
Okay, now what I did as a forward air controller. I lived and I worked with the Korean Army. There were 3 divisions of Koreans in Vietnam. And I lived with and supported the Tiger Division of the Korean Army. We had a headquarters in Tiger Town, and I wish we had a map, but I failed to make that happen. We were in the Central Highlands area, kind of right in the middle of southern Vietnam, real close to the South China Sea. Beautiful place. Terrain was very rough, very rugged. There were 3 regiments in this division, and one of the 3 we were each assigned to one of the regiments. I was assigned to the 1st regiment. When the 1st regiment went out on an offensive operation, which the Koreans did quite often, because they were fierce warriors. They weren't over there to buy stereo equipment. They were there to kill bad guys and get us out of the war. We loved working with the Koreans. So when they went on an operation, they always wanted a FAC to go with them. And we had a radio operator and a FAC. We would put a radio jeep in one of these Chinook helicopters, Army-owned, flown by 19-year-old warrant officers. They were studs. They really were great pilots. They used to, some of the places that we had to get into it was really tight. In that Jeep, we had a radio Jeep. Okay, here we are now. We're out at the site of the operations. That's the command tent right there. That Korean's been up working probably since the early hours. They wanted us to be close to them. That didn't always happen. We could get close to them because of the terrain. Some of it was really steep hills. But in this case, we're right close to them, right where they want us to be. He's the maybe an intelligence officer with the Koreans. I'm getting dressed, and here's my radio operator. He's taking a nap. That's what we communicated with. In that Jeep, we had a UHF, VHF, SS, sideband. We had a bunch of radios. And we could talk to anywhere in the world with this thing. No, that's a stretch. But we could talk. Our communication was key. And I know that you radio operators have a really important job, because communication is the key. He'd come to me, this guy'd come to me, Lieutenant Hale, we need airstrike. We need airstrike now. Now. Boom, I had to get him. Harold and I, if he was awake, we would call the DAS, Direct Air Support Center, and order up a set of fighters. There was always seemed to be a set of fighters just hanging around, going from point A to B. They got gas, they got weapons. So we had to react very quickly to the communication needs of this. It was very important. The communication was everything in what we did. Now, the rockets that you saw on my airplane, my 01, that's a Willie Peak in air. This is the mark that it makes. You can see how a fighter jock could never miss that. Cobra 1-2 hit my smoke. Boom! He knows right where I want the bomb. So that's what it looks like. We used to see this little thing here right here. That's some kind of a structure. How are we doing on time? Am I okay? Okay. We call this the old French fort. It just seemed appropriate. We don't know what it was, but we used to go there and practice shooting our rockets. Speaking of shooting our rockets, we didn't have a gun sight. Our gun sight was a grease pencil. We'd fly the airplane straight and level, no rudder, no input, no hands off, flying it, and we'd take our grease pencil out of our shirt and make an X on the horizon. Boink. So then when we were in a dive, we'd put the X on where we wanted the target to go. That was pretty sophisticated stuff right there. So that's why I missed. If I'd have had a gun sight, I was aiming at that thing right over there.
Can everybody see the rocket?
Yeah, here's the rocket. This is a great story. I didn't ask you to concentrate on the distance between the back seat of the bird dog and the rocket booms. You remember those? Remember the rocket tubes with the rockets in it? Well, they were right by the back window, and the back window opened. It was really close. So Dorm Crawford, my buddy, the guy that made the pig, he was in the back seat, and he said, "Bernie, I think it'd be kind of cool if we could get a picture of the rocket leaving the rail." So he said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to lean out the window with my camera." This does not sound very good, is it? So he leaned out the window with his camera, and I counted down, all right? 1, 2, 3, launch! And when I hit launch, when I said launch, he hit the clicker on his camera, and he said he almost fainted. The noise of the explosion and the whoosh that it made. Now, think about this. He tripped his camera when I said launch. And look how far away that rocket is from the airplane. That might be over here someplace. The things went supersonic, and that's how we mark targets. One guy leaned out the window and the other guy fired the rocket. Now this is going to show you how an airstrike went. Rough terrain, okay? This is a Willie Pete that's worn out. This one's worn out. This one's getting worn out. This one's fresh. And that explosion was made by an F-100 or an F-4 or an A-1E or some kind of a fighter. So that's what you're seeing here. Let's say that the friendlies were up here. We never wanted the fighters to fly over or even close to the friendlies. We were afraid that a bomb might have hung up on the rack coming out. It would be very dangerous if that happened. So let's say the fighters are here, and I'm the FAC, and I got a set of F-100s coming to the rescue. I would say to the fighter, I would analyze the situation, the terrain. I'd know exactly where the friendlies were. I'd know where the target was, because the guy in the tent next to my sleepy radio guy, he would call and say, give me the coordinates of where they thought they wanted the bombs dropped. Coordination. So now I know that they want the target right, they want the bombs right there. And let's say we got a two F-4s. I would run them this way in an oval. Lead would come down, drop his bomb right here. Poof. He's gone. He's making a big circle. I'm making a little circle. I'm staying right here. I got to be right there, because when he's gone, I got to turn around and I got to see number 2 coming down the chute. Then I got to follow him. I got to watch him till he drops his bomb. Then I'm doing it again. I got to make a tight circle here, because lead's coming now. And during all this action, and these guys are going fast. It happens fast. I got to communicate with the guy in the Koreans again, because the Koreans are saying things like, "Ooh, we need airstrike this way. We got bad guys over here. We got friendlies fighting these guys." Tense. time would fly by just like that. We'd have to tell the, in our briefing, we'd tell the fighters, if you catch ground fire, bail out to the east where the friendlies are. If we were close to the ocean, bail out feet wet in the water. The pickup time was easy there. There was just a lot of stuff going on, and it was exciting stuff. It was dangerous stuff, and you probably will have some questions about this whole procedure. But it was complicated stuff, and it went quick, and we got very good at it very quick. Okay, this is a F-100. This bomb that you see that's just been released has got these fins on it. That's a high drag bomb. When the weapon was released from the airplane, and most of our bombs were high drags. We had 500-pound bombs, 750s, 1,000-pound bombs. The fins pop out and create drag, and they slow down, giving this guy time to get out of here before the explosion. When they went slick, when the fins didn't open, it was a serious situation, and that did happen occasionally. Planes got hit, and some got knocked down with their own bombs because they didn't open. This is an F-4. I was in an F-4 taking this picture. We were on our way to. A couple of us were able to finagle a ride in an F-4. The F-4 pilots, they came down to our hoops all the time, and we'd throw them in our back seat. We were kind of unsupervised. Our boss was up at the. Yes, sir.
Are you upside down in that picture?
Well, it kind of looks like that, but we're in a bank. We're not upside down, but we're in a bank. There's this weather that you see was over by where we were going, and we were going around the weather. The weather got so bad that we had to cancel our mission, but we weren't upside down. We were just in a steep turn, and the other airplane was right here. I was right here with my camera. Okay, every time the Koreans went on an operation, they captured people, POWs. Every mission, they got some bad guys. And here you see this young lady. She was a young Viet Cong. She's tethered here on a rope. She's scared to death. She's young. These guys are two intelligence people for the Iraqs. The peanut gallery here is Korean soldiers, and I think that the interrogators wanted a lot of bodies just to maybe further intimidate the POWs. They wanted one of us there with them, and maybe they thought having an American officer would intimidate them a little bit. We've got another picture here. This guy was not scared. This is an NVA regular, a North Vietnamese Army soldier. And same two guys are interrogating him. See the rope? He's tethered. He didn't go into place. He was mad. If he could have gotten a hold of me, he would have ripped my liver out. He was very defiant. His interrogation didn't last long. He was worked over a little bit on his shin bones with a cot post, the things you stuff in. You guys been camping, put a cot together. They were whipping him pretty good with this thing. And after 10 minutes, he hadn't broken he was just bulletproof. He was angry. And one of these guys said, Lieutenant Hale, you leave now. Time for you to go. I didn't ask, they didn't tell me, but the guy had a long night, or a short night, perhaps. The Koreans were fierce. They didn't mess around. This is hard, this is tough stuff. That other girl's a pretty little girl. But it was just part of the deal. It was a hard war to to fight, like all wars are. This one was, it was really nasty. Okay. All right, this is the guy that painted the pig and leaned out the window and almost burned his head off. That's me. You like my hair? This is a sad story. One of our fellow forward air controllers flew that airplane the day before Dorm and I got in it. He made a hard landing. Phuket had a 10,000-foot runway. You could land the space shuttle on it. It was so long. And this guy chose to fly the whole length of the runway without touching down. And he landed in the overrun, which is a rough, an area of rough terrain. You never fly on it, you never taxi on it. It's just a space for, in case there's an emergency and the brakes fail or something, it can slow you down. So he landed in the overrun, and he made a hard landing in the overrun, and he didn't tell anybody. And every time it was an honor code thing. If you screwed up a landing, you had to be man enough to say, I made a hard landing, and you guys, the maintenance guys, ought to check this out. He didn't tell us that. We were landing on an airstrip. You see the terrain here? The crease in the terrain? The runway was right there. It was a narrow, short, narrow runway. There was a heavy crosswind. Dorm was in the front seat. I was in the back. He made a textbook approach. A textbook approach. Slipped the airplane in, moved it over. Right wing, left, right gear, left. Perfect landing. He put on the brakes. The left brake worked. The right brake didn't. And we didn't have enough speed to go around, to fly. And we had no room to spin around and stop, ground loop it, which was easy to do in the 01. But we didn't have any room to do that. So we got airborne, right here. And the airplane's going over like this. And it's true what they say about the end of your life, time going slow and all of that stuff. I wasn't thinking that I was going to die, but I had the thought, this is really going to hurt. Well, hurt it did. The airplane landed right on its nose, right on the prop. And it kind of teetered there for a moment, trying to, like a yard dart, trying to figure out which way to fall. It fell over on its back. And Dorm, the aircraft commander, being the good student, the good pilot he was, he had turned off the gas, he shut off the electrics right away. We had rockets strewn around here that we didn't shoot them all. We were afraid of fire or an explosion or something. But Dorm had shut off all the stuff like they tell you in flight school and when you're training. Boom, it stuck with him. It stuck with all of us. We really paid attention. So, no, but we're still afraid of fire at this point. Over here, the Korean border there's mines out there, landmines. So we thought, oh, this is great. We got an airplane up here that might blow up any minute. If we run that way, we're going to run into a minefield. We were pretty scared young boys right then. So I pulled my lap belt and I fell right on my head because we were upside down. I went out the broken window. I stood up. I fell down. I stood up again. I fell down again. I started crawling away. He starts yelling at me, "Bernie, I can't get out. I can't get out." I thought, oh, great. Now I got to go back to the airplane and get him out of there. So I went back to the airplane, and it was all twisted, and I was pulling on the door. It was stuck, and as I got the door, I was 95-pound weakling, but I got that door open. As soon as I opened it, boom, he fell right on his head. Well, he got out of the airplane. We grabbed each other. We stood up. We fell down. We crawled away. and somehow we survived. An O2 driver saw us. He came down. Our boss came. He was at the Tiger Town headquarters. He said, "All right, you guys, you got to get over to Phuket right now. You got to have a blood test done to see if we've been drinking," which we had not. That night we probably had been, but we certainly weren't. We were stupid. We weren't that stupid. And he said, "And by the way, there's going to be an accident investigation probably tomorrow, and you guys need a haircut." And we're thinking, "Colonel, holy smokes, we need a haircut." But anyway, I love this picture. We're going to end on this picture. I love it because I like seeing my hair. Huh? Yeah, do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir?
If you go back to where you had the mountain and the different white smoke,
Uh-huh.
I've not been to Vietnam, but I've been in the mountains, and we have GPS nowadays, and I probably get lost without GPS. How did you get to your targets?
Well, we were really good map guys. We had topographic maps, and they were really good. When we were training, we had a lot of exercises where the instructor would say, "Okay, here's your coordinates. You got 8 minutes to tell me where it is." So we read maps a lot. It was all coordinates. This right here, this terrain right here would show up like a sore thumb on a topographic map. The mountains, yeah. You know, the lines get tight. That means the terrain is steeper where the lines are tight, like a weather map, isobars. You know. We were really good at that, and when we had to be good because if you're sitting, you get a call. The Koreans need an airstrike right now, and they give a set of coordinates. They're shooting at guys, and guys are shooting at them. They don't want to wait around for the firepower, us, to show up. So we were really good map readers. That's how we did it.
What was the coordinate system? You didn't use Lat Long, obviously.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
But was it called out by latitude and longitude, or was it called out by a coordinate system? I was trying to think the coordinate system. What is it? UTM, yeah. Did you use UTM?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Okay. So you really did
We
use Lat Long?
just with the coordinates
Right.
on the map. We would track them. We would track ourselves to those that piece of terrain by looking at the coordinates. We could visualize what they look like by looking at the map.
But you were basically dead reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir?
Were you ever hit by ground fire?
No. I was shot at, never hit. We were in a very safe area. The Koreans kept us very safe. I was very fortunate. I was fortunate for 2 reasons. Many more than that. I was fortunate that I got to fly that great airplane. And I got to fly with the best guys, the best pilots that there could be. And I got to save the lives, perhaps, of Korean soldiers. And I get them out of trouble. And it was so rewarding. It was an outstanding job to have. Dangerous, yes, especially over toward the border area. But it was very rewarding. And
Sorry, I don't want to take up all the questions. How did your tour system work? Did you have to do so many flights? Was it a period of time?
no, it was a year-long tour.
A year-long tour?
I got off after maybe 10 months because the O1s, the O2s were coming in quickly. And I remember I told you that the FACs always got fighters when they went home. The needs of the Air Force changed. And the airlines were such that a lot of Air Force pilots were getting out and going to the airlines. They needed guys to drive heavy airplanes, and they made me a B-52 pilot.
Oh, wow.
So they said, Bernie, we're gonna let you go home early, that's the good news. The bad news is you're gonna learn how to fly the Buff. And that was a thrill. Yeah. Yes, sir?
Who were the Ravens?
The Ravens were a clandestine group of facts. I don't know when they started, but when I was over there, it wasn't really secret anymore. These guys lived in Laos, Plain of Jars. That's where they kind of hung out. And they flew in shorts, jeans, t-shirts. They carried no rank. They were just phantom guys, and they had a very dangerous mission. 3 of my guys went to be Ravens. 3 of my buddies. 2 of them were killed, and the other guy got kicked out of the program because he wasn't good enough. They flew T-28s, they flew O-1s, and it was a tough mission. They lost a lot of guys. I don't know if that answered your question. Yes, sir?
Well, did you land in really short fields? I mean, or were you always going back to that main field?
Oh, yeah, we lived at the main field. But each of the 3 regiments had a different terrain, and that where I crashed, that was a short PSP runway, pierced steel planking, narrow, short. They kept about 3 or 4 airplanes there, but you could tell from the train how steep it was. And but we were good at short field landing because the O-1 made it easy for us to do that. It was a great airplane. Yes, sir?
Bird dog have flaps.
Yes. Yes, sir?
You don't want the O2 have an escort, maybe helicopters in to pick up down pilots like the A-1s did?
I never did, but I think every FAC at one time had a chance, most FACs had a chance to do a rescue mission, and with the Jolly Greens, and yeah, the FACs were very important when it came time to getting a guy out of the boondocks. But I never was in that situation, but it happened a lot, all the time.
Bernie, you told me that your nickname was Lizard,
Yeah,
that your call sign was?
Oh, my call sign was TUM-14. There were a lot of different organizations that had FACs. A lot of FAC. We usually had 20 guys in our group. We were called TUM. TUM means nothing. We had the TUM FACs, the Misty FACs, the Raven FACs. The names made nothing. It was just a radio identification system, and each FAC within the group had their own number. I was TUM-14. Yeah. Now one more shot of the hair.
Oh yeah, we got to show that kid. Absolutely, yeah.
I have loved this, guys. This is very heartwarming for me. I feel like I should be in my uniform. I'm so pleased and so blessed that I was able to come and meet you guys and share a little bit about the Vietnam conflict.
When I finish with just something, do you mind if I do that?
Yeah.
This weekend, Saturday, there's a Welcome Home to Vietnam Veterans Day at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Some of you may know about it. Bernie and I will be going along with a couple other veterans down there. And there's a definition for a veteran that I thought I would like to share with you. And it's simply this. It's an individual, whether they're discharged, active duty, on reserve, whatever the case might be. It's a person who at one point in their lives signed a blank check, up to and including their lives, to the United States of America. That's what a veteran is. And I'm proud to be going Saturday down to that veterans celebration.
Yeah.
We appreciate being here.
And I'm proud to know you guys. This is very heartwarming, and I wish you the best of luck in whatever career you choose. I hope it's in the military, because there's nothing like the camaraderie of a bunch of Army, Air Force, Marine guys. It's very, I hope you consider that. And you're great American right now. You're great Americans, and I'm proud to be one of you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.